here I'm going to teach you how to extract, evaluate, and explain arguments, or at least give you the tools to start doing that on your own. In particular, first, of course, I'm going to ask you to meditate a little because I want this is good content. This is like substantive content. It's probably new content. I want you to have a clear mind. I want you to pause for a moment and close your eyes. I want you to imagine in front of you a stream. Now the stream is moving left to right, flowing water. And as you look off into the left, you see the stream, its source, its font. It's like coming up over the horizon. You can't really see where it's coming from. You just see that it's flowing from over the horizon. Now if you look to your right, you see the stream is winding up and down hills and dales and valleys, and you see it pop up and disappear and pop up and disappear until it disappears finally over the horizon. Now across from you, as you're sitting here in the stream that's flowing, across from you is a tree, and there are leaves falling from the tree into the stream. Now, I want you to focus on the stream. Watch the stream. And every time a thought comes to you that wants to distract you or tries to distract you from the stream, I want you to put it on a leaf. And then here's the important part. Watch it go down the stream, over the valley, in the hills and dales until it disappears over the horizon, until it's gone. And then I want you to bring your attention right back to where you were focused on in the stream. And do that every time something tries to draw your attention. I want you to focus on it just long enough to watch it go, let it go, and bring your attention back, okay? Now, pause the video now and do that on your own for about 5 minutes and then return. Give you a minute. All right. Assuming you have returned from meditating, and if you haven't, then do that. But if you have, let's move on. Syntax and semantics. What is that? So, listen. The word dog, here's an example. The word dog, D-O-G, means something like a mammal that barks and is adorable and has a tail, etc. Right? Look, semantics is the study of the meanings of terms like dog or John or cup. Right? Now, but the word dog, D-O-G, is a concatenation of symbols like D, O, and G. And syntax is the study of those symbols, the study of the shapes of terms. We use language often to pick out things in the environment. This is something we do called naming. You've probably seen it before, right? We baptize babies, we christen ships, right? Like, the shape of letters is different from the meanings of terms, and you can see this in our practices. It's also different from, both of these are different from the objects referenced by the terms. So here's a name, dog. It's a type of thing, right? Naming, and here's the thing name. Maybe that's a rover or something, right? Let's move on to types of sentences. Now, these terms we often have. Now, a straightforward way to talk about the meanings of terms is by considering what they're referred to. We could say what a given sentence means by considering all the things the terms in the sentence refer to. For example, the grass is green means something about this grass and a color. And it's true, just in case, grass is in fact green, right? That makes sense. This sort of meaning is often understood in terms of truth. When you're asserting something, it's often understood in terms of whether it's true or not. What the meaning of a sentence is its truth conditions, they say. When is it true? For example, the grass is green is true just in case grass is green. It's false all the other times. This is what we call a descriptive sentence, a sentence that tries to describe things. It's true or it's accurate or not. When it's accurate, we say it's true. But there are many sentence types that don't have anything to do with truth, right? But they still mean something. So it's important here to point out, like, truth is not exhaustive of meaning. You can mean something without talking about truth. For example, close the door. It's not true or false. Chili is delicious. Same. First is an imperative. Second, we call it an expressive. First is like a command, right? You close the door, do it, imperative. Chili is delicious, just an expression of an attitude you have, or an aesthetic judgment or something. It's getting hot in here, as Nellie once queried on a packed club. It's an interrogative. Good question, right? Is it? It's a question, right? It's not true or false. They all have meanings, but none of them have anything to do with truth or false. Part of the reason they have meaning is independent of truth. It stems from the fact that they have specific syntaxes. You know what an imperative is, right? Because it has an exclamation point. Expressive is a little more challenging, right? Because it has a period, but interrogatives and then a question mark, right? Okay, so when we're talking about arguments in this class, despite our little foray there into sentence types, we're going to be talking about descriptive sentences, sentences that try to or purport to describe something about the world. So, and for the purposes of this course, we're going to say that arguments are just sets of descriptive sentences arranged in a specific way, right? So they have a syntax. So here's the specifics. There's one and only one conclusion. Any other sentence in the argument, any other descriptive sentence is either a subconclusion or a premise, where a premise is a sentence that's often introduced to support the conclusion or some subconclusion of an argument. And these subconclusions are logical entailments of premises made explicit in an argument as they support the conclusion. I'll give you some examples. So, if John goes to the store, then John buys milk. John goes to the store, hence John buys milk. Is this an argument? Yeah. It's got one conclusion, number 3, and lines 1 and 2, those are premises. What about this one? 5 lines. If John goes to the store, then John buys milk. John goes to the store, hence John buys milk. And line 3 is a subconclusion. It is a conclusion ultimately used to get to line 5, which is the unique conclusion. Okay? So line 4, if John buys milk, then milk is on sale. Hence, the unique conclusion of this argument, milk is on sale. I mean, I've given it away. Is this an argument? Yeah, obviously. It's a complex argument. It has a subconclusion. How about this one? Is this an argument? John goes to the store. Imperative. Hence, assertive or a descriptive claim. John buys milk. Is this an argument? Not for us. We're not going to count this as an argument. Okay? So for the purpose of this course, because the first line is an imperative, we're not going to count it as an argument. Okay. Now, we're going to talk a bit about argument forms because they're useful in helping you organize information compactly. I'm going to try my best to just give you good argument forms. In fact, I think I will be pretty good at doing that since this is one of my specialties. But here, logicians traditionally have been concerned with preserving descriptive truth from sentence to sentence, and they've identified these forms as a kind of a shorthand for telling you when an argument is good or not. So here's an example. One that you should be familiar, right? If John goes to the store, he buys milk. John goes to the store, hence John buys milk. This, we know, if the first 2 sentences are true, and so is the third. Has to be the case. This is just due to the shape of the sentences involved. It has nothing to do with John in the store or milk. You can plug in anything you want. If it looks like this, if it looks like, in particular, the form modus ponens, which is this, then it will be a good argument. The rule underwriting the example I just gave is called modus ponens, and it has this form. If A then B, A, hence B. You'll never go wrong holding that B is true if the first 2 lines are. If A then B and then A are true, then B has to be true. Keep that in mind. You're going to see this a lot. You're going to see a few others, especially if you go do the reading. You should do the reading. Go do the readings. You'll see a couple of other argument patterns that we use that will have this property. They will, if the first line, if the premises are true, then the conclusion will be as well. This leads us to our last topic here, validity and soundness. Now, validity is just that sort of syntax, or just that argumentative form, that syntax of the argument that we were referring to. An argument is valid just in case. If all the premises are true, then the conclusion must be true. And that does not mean that all the premises are true. This definition applies by considering if the premises were true. An argument that is not valid is invalid. Now, to test for whether an argument is invalid or valid, here's the key. You imagine a scenario in which the premises are all true, but the conclusion is false. If you can do that, then the argument's not valid. But if you can't do that, the argument's very likely valid. For example, some pears are delicious. Can you imagine a world where some pears are delicious, where some pears are round, and nevertheless, there is some block of cheese that is not round that is delicious? Of course you can. Well, that is a counterexample, right? You would imagine a situation in which the first 2 premises are true and the conclusion is not, right? Because you have a block of cheese that is delicious. It's a delicious thing, nevertheless, it's not round. Now, an argument we'll say is sound, just in case it's valid and all the premises are true. Then this is the sort of argument the philosophers are interested in. This is the sort of argument that we'll spend most of our time with. This is a valid argument where the premises are in fact true. And here is a good way, just a real easy way to streamline the relationships among these. Check this out. Look, here are all the arguments. Everything that has a unique, every set of descriptive sentences that has a unique conclusion is going to be in this circle. It's a big circle. It's bigger than it looks. Right? Now, a subset of those, valid. These are the arguments that are such that if the premises are true, then the conclusion is as well. Not all arguments are like that. A subset of valid arguments are sound arguments. These are the ones where the premises are in fact true. Note, there are sound valid arguments. This is where they live. There are unsound valid arguments. This is where they live. But there are no sound invalid arguments. Look at the diagram, wherever they go. All right, now that is all I have for this lecture. Now go enjoy. See if this could help you out on the quiz. And if you have any questions, as always, let me know.